thinking back. I'm thinking back. I'm thinking back. I'm thinking back. I'm thinking back. Turn the bass up a little bit so I can hear that. Now don't call it a comeback. I'm thinking back on that real rap. But try ask, can I kick it? It was all that. Before trapping and drilling, it was on the flow though. Southern player, listen to Q banging out a solo. MTV Raps, Dr. Dre, your Ned Lover. Peter CL, Lace and Mecca, and the Soul Brother. True school meant the world to me. On that Greg and I-C-E. We vibe out all in our zone. Digging diggable on that blowout comb. Salt and pepper, the light, the brat to conscious daughters. And Red Man had me gone off of muddy waters. Reasonable doubt would take me so high. Like when AZ hit off that dough or die. Just another uptown Saturday night like him low. If you don't know, now you know. So big. I'm thinking back. 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 I'm thinking back.
If I was to take you back with me, would you be okay with going after me? Could you keep it going like a battery? I'm just playing, okay, I'ma stay in my lane. But I'm saying if it don't feel like the 90s, I don't want it. Took a vow and I'm keeping to my promise. I'm a purist in the highest sense. She want that old thing back, but in the present tense, I represent something that they ain't never seen. Microphone fiend, but in the form of a queen. I'm not your average, and I don't mean to sound like a savage. But if lyrics don't matter, then how the hell can I manage to mesmerize with just the thick of my thighs, green in my eyes? Just the sound of my voice became people's choice. Do you remember the times when we was killing shit every night? Catching vibes, couldn't afford to catch a flight. We had cruise upon cruising this city, bumping our own shit while we cruising the city. I take pity if you missed the golden era here, when we was bringing that organic flavor to your ear. Yeah.
I'm thinking back. I'm thinking back. Real rap. Real rap. Real rap. Real rap. Real rap. I'm thinking back. 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 Mama say, mama side, mama makusa. That want to be starting something that starts right now. This country is divided, the have-nots are sliding. That's why I gotta speak up to get the wrongs righted. My word is all I got, so that's all I give. I'm from the worst place for black folks to live. There's plenty racial shovels for a hole that's dug. Like if you don't go to UW, then you get no love. The homeless crying out, there's no space for us. My race don't come downtown, there's no place for us. It's limited options for a face like us. We all supposed to be equal, not the case for us. When quotas gotta get filled, there's a chase for us. Since dollar signs in every cage for us. The unfair advantage, it amazes us. It'll make you cheap the pain away, blaze with us.
Tell me what is going on.
Hey yo, can you tell me?
What is going on? Oh, tell me what is going on. What is going on? What is going on?
Hey yo, welcome to the Midwest. Factories gone, I swear it's such a hot mess. You ain't tech savvy, then you just stress. To add to the fact that so many are oppressed. Shoot, it ain't no wonder why so many are depressed. You can't be progressive when there's no progress. Progression here is minimal at best. It's enough to keep you under like you under arrest. Seem like a come up for all is never addressed. Dear leader of this country, yo, I'm not impressed. Cause why it seem in blatant hate invest. That's why these bars now are my way to protest. Which way will it go, yo? I don't know. Almost like nobody don't love no more. All the lies and deceit, yo, they got to go. Mr. Apprentice should be fired from this TV show.
Tell me what is going on.
Hey, yo, can you tell me?
What is going on? Hey, tell me what is going on. What is going on? What is going on?
Now which way do we lean? Do the right thing, Radio Raheem. Either push for love or there's a push for hate. With so many open places, it ain't open for debate. Those that got the bread claim it's never enough. But those without it are the folks that got it rough. Regard for one another is how we get done. Now chant and go back to where they came from. But the they is the us cause we are here. All the divide talk is based out of fear. Let's not pretend what message does it send. With some spouting off words that offend. The greedy type of games broken down to classes. Most mass shooters don't look like my masses. No time for us to discuss. For special interest groups rarely interest us. Man.
Tell me what is going on. Tell me what is going on. What is going on? Tell me what is going on.
Hey, yo, what is going on?
What is going on? What is going on? Tell me what is going on. Hey, tell me, oh, what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Hey.
Thinking back. I'm 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 thinking back. Turn the bass up a little bit so I can hear that. Now don't call it a comeback. I'm thinking back on that real rap. But try ask, can I kick it? It was all that. Before trapping and drilling, it was on the flow though. Southern player, listen to Q banging out a solo. MTV Raps, Dr. Dre, your Ned lover. Peter CL, Lace Mecca, and the Soul Brother. True school meant the world to me. On that Greg N.I., Greg N.I.C.E. We vibe out all in our zone. Digging diggable on that blowout comb. Salt and pepper, the light, the brat to conscious daughters. And Red Man had me gone off of muddy waters. Reasonable doubt would take me so high. Like when AZ hit off that dough or die. Just another uptown Saturday night like M Low. If you don't know, now you know. So big. I'm thinking back. 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 I'm thinking back.
Yeah. If I was to take you back with me, would you be okay with going after me? Could you keep it going like a battery? I'm just playing, okay, I'ma stay in my lane. But I'm saying if it don't feel like the 90s, I don't want it. Took a vow and I'm keeping to my promise. I'm a purist in the highest sense. She want that old thing back, but in the present tense, I represent something that they ain't never seen. Microphone fiend, but in the form of a queen. I'm not your average, and I don't mean to sound like a savage, but if lyrics don't matter, then how the hell can I manage to mesmerize with just the kick of my thighs, green in my eyes, just the sound of my voice became people's choice? Do you remember the times when we was killing shit every night, catching vibes, couldn't afford to catch a flight? We had cruise upon cruise in this city, bumping our own shit while we cruising the city. I take pity if you missed the golden era here, when we was bringing that organic flavor to your ear. Yeah.
Thinking back. I'm thinking.
We are the Real Bravado Network, and we address Black relationships from an image perspective. Image impacts and influences your life and life experiences. It also determines how you are treated and influences how people interact with you. Image is the reputation that you are known for, which includes your behaviors, your character, and your appearance. There's nothing more damaged than the image of the Black man in America. The Real Bravado Network's next phase of development with our live stream, Have the Conversation, will focus on his image. The Real Bravado Network will be asking, how can a Black man be a leader of his community and home when the vast majority of Black men have never been led? Leadership is taught and a skill that needs coaching, development, and refinement. Over the next few months, we will complete a forensic examination of his image. Please join the Real Bravado Network on YouTube, but we dare to be the bold, not silent.
She might not be a cynical, might not be a but she I so take a caramel with an honest smile, feather earrings in with a fly hairstyle, play her status, professional on lock, but on the weekend, like to show the Black girls ride. She easy like Sunday morning, this is good as it gets. Whether in a dress or heels or she in chucks and sweats. Get a girl going good, that's the reason I love her. At the gym 5 times a week to get in her tough mother. Word to Jeffrey Eyes on this is my love ballad. LTV encouraged me, got me munching on salad, and she even got me backing off the dude. I don't know about you, but that's what the real wanna do. She don't like my late nights, but she respect my hustle. Put my head to her chest when she seeing the struggle. I know I'm blessed. They don't make many like her. She get a princess, man. I think I might wife. My breath, my mind, my heart is so beauty, but it's so much more. She my destiny. She got the best love. She bring the best to me. She bring the best to me. Need to wait a little do this way. I know she was sitting here to rescue me. She got the best 'cause she was just too late. it's a lot to deal with me. I love on how she keep it real with me, cause it's a lot of thoughts to do what I say so, but she simply shake her head and she be like, no. I love her physical, respect her mental. Fact, she's so spiritual, ain't coincidental. Now we both got our feet on soil. I can't do nothing but thank the Lord we living as royals. I remember being a big dude with small schemes. She helped me stretch it out and turn it into huge dreams. Thelma Evans, good. Swear she my best friend. When my pockets tight, she give the card to the ATM. I love when we're alone. She give me selfie poses. I tell her I appreciate her and she dig it more than roses. If Eve came from Adam, then she my rib. I've been waiting for a good one. Let's have some kids. My heart is so beauty, but it's so much more. She my destiny. She got that last she bring the best to life. She got that last she no need to wait another day. When it's this way, I swear she was here to rescue me. She got that last she lets she got that nasty ugliness. She took my breath, my love, my heart is so her beauty, but it's so much more. She my destiny. She got that nasty ugliness. She bring the best to life. She got that nasty ugliness. She lets no need to wait another day. When it's this way, I know she was sitting here to rescue me. She got that nasty ugliness. She bring it just to life. She got that nasty ugliness. She took my breath, my mind. My heart is so a beauty, but it's so much more. She my destiny. She got that nasty. She bring the best to life. She got that nasty. She no need to wait another day. When it's this way, I swear she was here to rescue me. She got that nasty. She bring it just to me. She got that nasty.
I'm a king, cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win, every day I get it in. I'm a king, cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win, every day I get it in. I'm a king, and I will never knew. Plotting for my fall, you getting hanged for treason. I don't aim to please, do anything I feel. Haters gonna talk, don't listen to the shit. They tryna be like me, they know they can, yo. Can't even get close, I'm on a pedestal, sitting on my throne. My neck be decked in gold, I don't do no hoes, I've got a queen though. I'm a king, cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win, every day I get it in. I'm a king, cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win, every day I get it in. I'm a king, I told you guys before, ready for the war, to get me way much more. Gather all the spoils, add them to my kingdom. Shout out to my fans for pledging your allegiance. You get a reward, the best flow you've ever heard. I done been mixing with birds, I'm a lion on the surge. Always pushing to the edge, facing arrows, never scared. For my greatness I'm a servant, only under myself. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play it, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play it, I just win. Every day I get it in.
Yeah. Every stream I talk, I say, hey, get this up a theme song. Yeah, can't do this without my notes. Thank everybody that's watching. Appreciate you for coming. We are the Real Bravado Network, and this is Have the Conversation. Woo! We will not be long tonight. We will not be long tonight. You know, every time I say that, then I end up being long tonight. But I promise you, we will not be long tonight. We got a good topic, kind of an important topic. We're going to get right into it. I appreciate you, those who are watching, joining us. Feel free to comment in the comment section if you got anything to say. If you want to talk, I'm going to do this right now. If you want to talk or add to the conversation, go ahead and click the link that I just put in the chat, and you can come on up and have this conversation with me today. Well, week 2, I don't have my normally I have a panel of fellas with me, but week 2 I am riding solo. So we're going to see how this roll riding solo stuff, okay? And you know, putting together a stream sometimes is pretty difficult because, man, you got to do all your, well, if you want to do it right, you got to do your research, got to know what you're talking about. I write my stuff out because, you know, my memory with me being an old man now, you know, ain't what it used to be. So I try to make sure I got everything right, you know, the way I need to be. Thank you guys for joining me in the chat. So let's get right to it, okay? Listen. Most of my life, I really never put much stock into anything related to the concept of image. Up until the last few years ago or so, I kind of viewed image as this abstract, superficial thing with people with no substance, you know, cared about. I thought it was all about like perception, but like from a very vain perspective. But as I evolved, and that's my little buzzword for, say, getting older. But as I evolved, I realized that perspective was a little short-sighted. Image is just a bit more than perception. And when you take your image seriously, it's nowhere near superficial. So over here, we define image as the reputation that a person is known for, which includes your behavior, your character, your appearance, and also the messaging that you send. The message you send to the world is also what's included in our definition of image. Okay? All right, so listen. A couple weeks ago, I did a live stream and talking about burdens that Black men carry. And I got a lot of comments off air. I would say come on and pop them in the in the comment section, but I got a lot of feedback off air about the burdens that Black men carry. You know, so out of that came a couple other additional burdens, and I thought about talking about this again, but from a pretty different perspective. Okay, now a man carrying burdens is not something new, or and more specifically, a man carrying burdens is not something to be like overly concerned about. You know, one of the expectations that we shoulder is that we as men, we shoulder the responsibility of carrying burdens. And so many men carrying burdens is not anything new. That's the way it should be. What I would like to point out is that most women, especially Black women, have no idea the kinds of burdens that we carry, especially when you're talking about Black women understanding the kinds of burdens that the men who share their reflection carry. I would go as far to say is that most Black women don't even believe that Black men carry any kind of burden. So let me be a little bit more specific about that. Let me explain that to you a little bit. The overwhelming vast majority of Black women are the heads of their homes and the sole caretaker for their children, for the children that she had. She is responsible for the income and the upkeep of the home. She's responsible for the health and safety of that home and the children in that home. Any troubles or issues that come up within that home or with the children, she is the primary person troubleshooting, planning, and addressing various issues within that home. If the various men that our women had children with are not in the home and they're not part of the day-to-day goings and comings of the children or the issues in that home, our women's perspective is this: what do you as a man have to worry about? What do you have to be concerned about? That mindset translates into no man, any man has anything to worry about. You guys don't have any burdens to carry because we're carrying it. That's the perception. Most women view the world, though, through the eyes of their own personal issues, their own responsibilities, their own experiences, and also through the eyes of the personal issues, personal responsibilities, and personal experiences of the other women in her orbit. Very tunnel vision our women are. So it's not surprising that Black women would not believe that Black men as a whole don't carry any major burdens. But remember, also, our women do not acknowledge or pay attention to the majority of Black men. When you point that out to them, they want to fight you about that. And when you point out simple, positive facts about the majority of Black men, our women flat out reject them. Here's some of the facts about our Black men that our women flat out reject. Ask any Black woman, do you believe that 54% of Black men are single and childless? The answer probably will be no. Do you believe that outside of the 54%, that 60% of those men earn enough money to be considered middle class? They will reject that too. Do you ask them, do you believe that the CDC conducted a study that found that Black men made the best husbands of any other race? They would reject that too. Ask any Black woman, do you believe that Black men out-earn Black women no matter the educational level? They will emphatically reject that notion. The overwhelming majority of Black women will absolutely say that all of those positive things about Black men, that they don't believe it, and that they will bet money that none of the data points that regarding the Black men are remotely or close to being true. They will argue the validity of the data and the data source instead of accepting that about their men. But these same Black women, our precious, beautiful Black women, will accept that Black women are the most educated group of people in the country, earning 64% of all bachelor's degrees, even though that statistical fact comes from the same research and sources as I stated that pointed out the positive things about Black men. They will accept that about themselves, but reject anything positive about their Black men. Here's the issue with Black women ignoring the majority of Black men. If Black women are not sleeping with these men that they don't know anything about, if they don't want to sleep with these men that they don't know anything about, then these men that I'm talking about, these positive attribute men, those men don't exist in their world. They don't believe that they exist. Black women have no idea that they ignore the majority of Black men. Just look at how they talk about us. Here's some examples. You know, you will often hear a Black woman say, "Well, where are all the good Black men at?" Most Black men are locked up. Almost good Black men are locked up or gay. Black men cheat all the time. Black men, my favorite one, I can't find one on my level. Your level. Oh, okay. All right. And where are all the good ones? You know, that's how they talk about us. But let me tell you something, ladies. That is a remarkable burden that many Black men carry. That burden being that we have to accept that the majority of our women that share our reflection don't even believe we exist. Think about that for a second. Walking through life with having to accept that the people that share your reflection don't believe you exist. That's kind of out there, you know? What's out there is the fact that we accept it. We accept the fact that our women believe that the majority of us don't exist. You said, yeah, yeah, good Black men don't hang around these types of women. No, mostly not. Yep, where the good Black men go. Life lessons. Thank you, Life Lessons, for dropping by. They don't know. They think we don't exist. But let some other woman that don't share his reflection come into his space, find him of value, and get on his program. How do our women typically respond to stuff like that? Sell out, cornball, you know what I mean? I knew it. Just a slew of barbs that they chuck at this brother, even though all the data says that Black men prefer a Black woman over anything else. But let me give you a more specific example. If you guys have been watching on YouTube and on the news, there's this clip going around with Michael B. Jordan, right? He's on the red carpet and he's being interviewed by a chick that he went to high school with. And she's sitting up there trying to yuck it up with him on the red carpet. And he was like, "Yo, ain't you that girl that used to try to bully me in high school and call me corny, call me a cornball? Are you that chick?" And she just if you go back and watch the video clip, she just ignores it initially, just ignores it. And he brought it back and it was hilarious. And then at what point he turned his back to her and started talking to one of his co-stars from Creed 3. It was hilarious. And then he granted her the rest of the interview. And then when he started to walk away, and then she gonna throw out, she just couldn't just let it go. You know, she gonna be like, "You ain't a cornball no more." What the hell? You're not corny no more. Of course. Oh no, of course he's Michael B. freaking Jordan. And let's not forget Michael B. Jordan, his last relationship that he tried to be with was a Black woman. And what did she do? She dogged him. She dogged the stank out of him. And then a few weeks later, he showed up at some event with a white woman, then everybody lost their mind. Get out of here. Everything that I just talked about it's not everything I just talked about. It's not an expectation for our women to really understand it. We don't have a true expectation for you to understand that. And that's because Black men as a whole know one very important thing about life. No one owes you or me understanding. Black men know that. We know that through and through. We know that better than any other man. That the world does not owe me or you understanding. So while we carry certain types of burden, especially the burden of being invisible to our women, and we carry it most times with a lot of strength. We talk about black and strength. We always talk about the woman, but we don't ever talk about how strong these brothers are out here and the burdens that they carry. And let me tell you something. It's a mental mind mess up. I want to say something else, a mental mind F. To walk around this world knowing that somebody don't want you. And our women, the overwhelming majority of our women don't want the regular old brother, even though the regular old brother is like a hell of a brother. You know? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When they show up, they say you show up with a non-sister, that's exactly what they say. You must hate yourself. You must hate yourself. Self-hate. Kevin Samuels said when he was addressing this issue, he goes, if a brother spent 35, 40 years of his life begging a black woman to be with him, what do you expect me to tell him? To stay by yourself for the rest of your life? No, go where you're wanted. That's some real talk there. Now, even though there's no expectation for our women, that we don't hold any expectation for them to really understand the burden, and as men, we it's not like that wears on us that they don't understand our burden, because it's part of the life of being a man. And a lot of us, it's a bad. My dad sometimes wear the burdens of the family as a badge of honor. You know what I mean? He's a proud. He made. I'm getting a little bit off topic, but I remember one time my father was telling me how one of my sisters, my dad went over to her house to do some work, and my sister offered to pay my dad. My dad he's very industrious with his hands. He's a diesel mechanic by trade, and then he's an HVAC tech. He makes his cash money on the side about that. So something was going on in my sister's house. My dad went over there, got it straightened out, and then my sister offered to pay him. And my father got really upset with her. This is the story he's telling me. He screamed at her about why would you need to pay me? I'm your father. And then he said the next thing out of his mouth really hit me very profoundly, because I don't even think he understood what he said. He goes, "I'm your father. What else do I have to do?" Whew. He said, "I ain't nothing if I can't help my family." That's a man who accepts with pride carrying the burden of the family. Now, it would be nice if our ladies, gave a little bit more understanding to us about that. It would be really, really, really nice if they did. But we don't have an expectation that they do. But the reason why I started off like this and talking about this a little bit is because black men, carry a lot of stuff with pride, the burdens with pride, even though it would be nice if they actually would try to understand a little bit more. But that, one can make the argument that would probably kind of go on against their nature. But it'd be nice if they actually understood us a little bit more. But the problem with that a little bit, with carrying all of that pride, is that carrying these things in silence, sometimes we can internalize it, and it can manifest itself or come out in several ways with a man. Now, there is a societal expectation that as a man, you just make it happen, you get it done, you find a way. I mean, that's just the way it is, and fair enough. But it'd be nice, like I said, of the woman who shares a reflection to deliver some kind of understanding or just some simple curiosity of what you're carrying would be, that niceness would be like an understatement. In various conversations, most women do not understand what they ask their men to carry and how remarkable that is and how much of an undertaking that is. Let me give you an example. And I'm not gonna like pound this point, but every single time a single woman with children places the requirement that her and her children come as a package deal, that woman has no idea what she's actually asking that man to do. She is asking him to do something that is not natural. And I know that's not popular to say. Just because we tolerate behavior or request, that doesn't mean it's natural. Our women have no idea what kind of risk they are asking the man to place themselves in by accepting the responsibilities of another man's child. If you ask them to articulate the risk, they don't believe that there is a risk at all. And guess what? Their belief that there isn't a risk, they're absolutely right. There is no risk to them. You understand? Because they don't have to shoulder that burden of raising and taking care of and feeding and defending and supporting and educating and grooming another man's child. On top of that, having that man have a say in your house. When you got another man's child in your house, I don't care how you want to shape it, a man has say in your house. And I'm telling you, from a manhood perspective, at top, boy, that's hard to swallow when you think about it like that. That you don't have full control in your house, which you're supposed to be. Listen, speaking of risks, in some states, if a man takes on the responsibility of raising and taking care of another woman's child, and there's a divorce, or if they break up, or if there's just in a relationship and they break up, in some states, they will assign child support to the non-father, knowing he's not the father. Many states have adopted the standard of what's best for the child, the best interest of the child, which means logic and law go out the window. They literally just look at what is the best interest for the child. And you've been in that child's life 8 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. Living in your home, you providing for him, he's comfortable. The woman talked to him to put him in private school. Y'all split or divorced. Don't go to California, by the way. You'll be screwed. Don't go to California and don't go to Canada. Oh, in sidetrack, in Canada, I think in Toronto, if you and your woman cohabitate for more than 3 years, you owe her maintenance if y'all split up. Y'all ain't got to be married. California is working its way to that rate now. Risk. Imagine if you're a man with a woman with an unruly teenage girl or a spiteful teenage girl. What kind of risk are you in then? These are the things that our women do not understand, or do not understand what they're asking us to undertake. And most Black men will do so, no problems. You know? Mr. Uncle Junior Network, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. There's too much risk to being a stepfather. Man, go build your own family. I was on, I'm going to get to this a little bit later, but I was on with Donovan Sharp last night, and I talked to him about this. If you are a Black man and you want a Black woman, and if you are really focused on the fact that you want a Black woman as your woman, I'm sorry I hate to be the bearer of bad news for Black men. You will be a stepfather. If that woman's between the ages of 25, 55, Black women, 75% of them have children. There's just no way around that. It is, and if you look at, if you Factor in the marital, if you factor in the married black women, which is about 27%, you factored in the other 75% of single black women that have children, that only leaves about 2 to 3% of black women without children. That is a very small number. It is almost impossible if you're a brother in today's day and age. I hate that today's day and age. If you're a brother walking around right now and you want a black woman, you're going to be a stepfather. You're going to be one. And one of these days, I'm going to do a stream. We're going to talk about what that looks like practically. I know the push is not to get involved with single mother, but if you're a black man, you want a black woman. There's no. And I've had black women tell me this. I have had my own lady tell me this. Well, you seem to got a problem with women with kids. No, I don't. You got a problem with women with kids. I ain't got no problem with no woman and her kids. Those are kids. Go find your one without kids. So, and I unfortunately had to tell her, well, that would mean if I wanted to go find a woman without kids, I got to go find a non-black woman. Life lessons. If the child is a girl, then you really got to be careful. Absolutely. One false accusation of rape and you're done. Absolutely. Mr. Life Lessons. Absolutely. Absolutely. Risks, burdens that black men carry, the things that our women do not remotely understand what they're asking because they don't have to shoulder those risks. Now, let's get back to us men. I want to talk about for a minute about men not knowing how to accept help. When you are accustomed to carrying everything and doing everything, we get to the point where we're not accustomed to asking for help. Because the expectation of men is to simply get it done, the majority of productive men have a hard time accepting help when help is presented. We tend to celebrate, men actually celebrate the accomplishment and completion of the hard task, the impossible task. That's what we celebrate. Jordan three-peating twice, the impossible task. Any back-to-back, the impossible task. Knocking down the finest girl in his school, the impossible task. We celebrate the impossible task. We celebrate the ability to do it, to get it done, and to do it alone. We as men cheer the completion of the impossible task. I personally have had to come to terms, well, I don't know about that. We as men, but if I can be honest with you, the only thing I know is if I don't get it done, for me, if I don't get something done, then it doesn't happen. If there's a poor outcome, then it's my fault that I couldn't get it delivered. So when someone comes in, and this is rare for a lot of productive men, when someone comes in and offers help, that help could be in any form. It could be to help to build your business, fix your car, bail you out of a jam, build your platform. Personally, I get very uncomfortable with receiving help. I don't know what to do with that because I'm so accustomed to just figuring it out. The expectation for you as a man is to figure it out. So productive men have a hard time with accepting help. But in order to be a productive man, you need help. You see how how those two things are opposite of each other, but they are a constant battle and a conflict within most men, especially your black men, especially because we got to be 3-4 times better than everybody else, which is fine. Okay. I talk to a lot of productive men who become completely uncomfortable with accepting help. To a degree, accepting help, no matter what the help is, kind of gives men the self-impression that they don't have the skills to fix it, to do it, or to build it, or to achieve it. Accepting help for a lot of us just, sends us through a tizzy inside. You might never see it, but a lot of us, it happens that way. I know we're supposed to accept the help, but that push-pull, we damn sure don't ask for it often, that push-pull. And the fact of the matter is, for your productive man, you need help to be productive, but yet you're uncomfortable with the help because of what it says, that your inability to not do it. It's a contradiction and it's a conundrum. Most productive men are just accustomed to just producing the outcomes, and we don't know how to accept help with anything. Another word for it could be pride. Could be our pride. Could be our pride. I don't know. But also, this inability to know how to manage help could lead us to miss opportunities or mishandle opportunities. Because getting help, receiving help, or accepting help is something that we're generally not accustomed to doing. I got somebody in the back right now. I'm going to bring him up in a second, Mr. Hezekiah. But I wanted to share this story with you. So I'm over here trying to grow the Real Bravado Network. I'm trying to grow it, develop it. I got myself involved in a networking group to learn from others who are above me and who are still trying to figure it out themselves. And I got a guy named Donovan Sharp. He's he's really big in the man self-improvement space. Donovan Sharp and I are the same age. I think we may be like a couple months apart. And we have very similar backgrounds. You don't know that though. But Donovan offered to help me grow my channel by inviting me on him, giving me a weekly, hour-long conversation with him every week. And when he offered that to me, everything in me, I was grateful, but I felt so uncomfortable. I didn't know how to respond to it. He shot me his phone number, and any normal human being, the moment he got that number, within the first hour or so, would have been on that phone. Not me. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I knew what to do, but I didn't know what to do. It's different when it's you, right? Don't it? So I waited, I think a day and a half, and I finally sent him a text. And I sent him a text, and I think I asked the question. He didn't even answer the question. He said, "Yo, bro, I've been waiting to hear from you." And then I started to panic because I'm a professional and I believe in professional courtesies and when people offer stuff. But I'm over here trying to build something out of the mud, and there's a sense of pride when you can build something out of the mud. And even though you need a community to build anything, the burdens that men carry that our women are completely unaccustomed to. Hezekiah.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Welcome back to the Real Bravado Network.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So what are your thoughts?
You talk about the burdens of the man now.
Hold on a second, Hezekiah. You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Hold on. Let me see if I can turn your mic down because it's like crackly and poppy. You got on headphones?
I do. Want to take them off?
Yeah, take the headphones off. All right. Can you hear me? Yeah, go ahead. Try it.
Me, just like the same situation that you was in.
Oh, Hezekiah, hold on a second. Hold on. All right, try it again. I'm gonna try this one more time. Hello, go ahead. Yeah, it's real crackly. You know what I'm gonna do? I want you to drop out of the stream and then come back in, okay? Yeah, it's real crackly. Pastor Rush.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well. Listen, I know I got you up for another segment, but my brother dropped out real quick. What did you think about the conversation around the burdens that men carry?
I think you're spot on. I think it couldn't have been said better. I think the substance of what you said resonates in many ways. And I think most of your audience will gather that, and you'll see the results. The response will be extremely encouraging, because the direction and the branches that you use from the thought of burden supported each other. And I think the thought consummated itself with all that you are discussing on your foundational thoughts.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I appreciate that. But Pastor, because I'm gonna bring you back, because this is those you don't know, this is actually my pastor, because and after we get through this conversation, we're gonna be talking about covering, being a covering, and he's gonna talk about that, what it is and what it looks like on a woman, and then we're gonna talk about why women reject it. So, okay, Pastor, I'll be right back with you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to bring you up. Mr. Life Lessons, go ahead and unmute for me.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing there?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. So what you got for me on the topic?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Is that me going out? It's interesting because as men, we are supposed to be the leaders of the family. We are supposed to be the headship. We're the ones supposed to build and to lead the family and the community. But a big problem is that we don't really have families anymore in our community. That's kind of why we're at the bottom, and we have no problem carrying that burden. It's just the fact that a lot of times we end up dealing with women who maybe think they can, I don't know, do better than us, or think they deserve better. And, we're trying to be a stand-up guy. We're trying to be a man of God. We're trying to be, be on our purpose, who God called us to be. But, you can't, once you're in a marriage with someone, you can't stop a person from leaving. And so it's difficult. And like you said earlier, with the, being a stepfather and everything, it's hard, because most men want to start their own family. And when you get a woman who already has a child or children, you're kind of taking on her family. And then, do you get a child from out of the deal? Maybe you do. Sometimes you don't. But then you are responsible for everything with that child. And the only thing is that they don't carry your blood. They don't carry your last name. And it's hard, dude. It's really hard, because like I said, I used to be a stepfather. I used to be in my first marriage. I was a stepfather. Mistakenly became a stepfather. I didn't know what I was signing up for. And sometimes it really didn't hit me until I got into it. This is all, during my 20s and everything. But it's difficult, man, because like I said, you're responsible for everything, but yet they don't want you to have any say so, have any authority, have any, it's still any kind of discipline in the household.
They want
And
you
that's
to have
what men are designed to do.
They want you to have all the responsibility and none of the authority. Real quick, the Uncle Junior Network. My first super chat. Yeah, buddy. I appreciate that. Let me meet that one more time. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's right. But no, yeah, thank you. But absolutely, that's one of the things that we have to fight. We have to fight and contend against right now is the fact that they want us to have all the responsibility and none of the authority. You can't, but and those two things go together: responsibility and authority. You have to have both of them, otherwise there's failure in that.
That goes with leadership, and at the end of the day, no matter how much money a woman makes, she wants the man to be the leader. She wants the man to be take that masculine role and have that masculine authority. And again, we have no problem with that. It's just that it all kind of ties back to money. If he's not making as much money as I do, I can't respect him. Or I saw my mother do it. I don't really need a man, I can make my own money and stuff. And it's like, we've gotten to a world where you have a ton of women, and even some cases, non-Black women, who think they don't need men. And it's ridiculous, because men, we are the one, we built this world to what it is today. We are the ones, digging the ditches. We built the house that woman's living in. We built the infrastructure for her electricity. We put the freaking fiber optics in the ground for her to be on the internet watching these streams and everything. So at the end of the day, we need more families to come together. And I said this in the chat: Black men have always preferred Black women. We never stopped preferring Black women. We want to be with Black women. I mean, what is the stat? 80% of people want to be with their own race.
Yes.
So yeah, we have always preferred Black women, but the fact that we are, for the most part, you see this a lot with passport bros. I'm not one, but I support the movement. We are just tired of dealing with bad attitudes, especially when we didn't really do nothing to you.
Bad attitudes, bad behaviors, bad assumptions, disrespect. They don't really get that. On March 15th, I'm going to say this real quick, Mr. Life Lessons. Listen, I'm actually doing a special. I'm going to be interviewing women from 3 different generations. I'm calling it 3 different generations. I got 2 women that are between the ages of 20 to 25, 2 women between the ages of 25 to 35, and then 2 women that are over 40. And the one thing we're going to be talking about, the primary objective is to talk to these 3 different generations of women about their perception of Black men. And, and you know what I mean? And my goal is to have these women look at each other through the generations. You got the 20-somethings, the mid-20s to 30s, and then above that, I bet you $1,000 that they all have the same
contempt.
Same mindset, same perspective, same out, and I bet you the same outcomes.
Yeah.
Ain't no way in the world no 40-year-old woman should have the same outcome as a 22-year-old.
No. And I have a younger sister. She's 23. I tell her that our mother had, me, her, and our older brother. He passed away some years ago, but we are all from 3 different men. And my mother, I think she'll be 60 this year. I'm sorry, next year. She'll be 60 next year. So she's about to be 59. She's 58, about to be 59, going into 60. Way in no man's land. I mean, yeah. But you see her outcome. Never really had any relationship worth mentioning. Never married. don't really have anything that's worth speaking of. And as a man, I can, I didn't see this before, but I see it now that, how she has a contempt for men. And I'm like, and she's got this negative attitude all the time. I don't even want to be around her. So if I don't want to be around her, I know good and damn well she ain't gonna ever get married to any kind of dude with his head on straight.
With his head on straight.
Right.
My grandmother is 80 years old now. And just a couple of days ago, my grandmother, she my entire life, she raised me. So it's kind of weird because I watched my grandmother get old because I knew her when she was in her 40s, So it's kind of weird to watch her get old. But the other day, she was like, she called everybody's a monkey. Can't no monkey do nothing for me. And she called men monkeys. And she got all these boys and grandsons and all. And I said to myself, I said to her, I said, Henrietta, I hate to break it to you, but ain't no monkey looking at you.
But see that her calling a man monkey, that's that undertone, that contempt.
Yes.
That contempt, because for the past 40 years, you notice more than I do because you older than me, but the past 40 years, women have been telling dudes, I don't want no scrubs. You got to have a JLB if you want to be with me. Talking bad about us on daytime TV, talk show radio, Oprah Network, all this other kind of stuff.
Let's not forget about the independent woman anthem, Tyrone by Erykah Badu. If your man ain't acting right, call Tyrone. Call some other dude. If he not doing what you want, if your guy can't pay your light bill, phone bill, your rent, buy your food, get your hair done, call Tyrone. Call Mr. Simptastic.
Yep. What was that Destiny's Child song? Can you pay my bills?
Yes.
Can you pay my telephone bill? If you then maybe we can chill. Listen to those lyrics. Listen to, I need a soldier. Listen to all them lyrics of all those, women anthems in the 90s when they were at the time when those women were in their latter 20s, early 30s, maybe mid 30s. Look what they are now. They are Taraji P. Henson. They are Tracy Ellis Ross. In some cases, they might be who's a woman that just divorced her good man, Tia Mowry.
Tia Mowry, yeah. The twins. Those were our girls growing up. You know what I mean? Everybody wanted sister, but she turned out she just want to be a thought burger like everybody else.
Yep.
With her old butt. But no,
right.
Here's the thing: our ladies do not understand. And listen, they put all of this stuff out here. And we have to, I shouldn't say have to accept it. We accept this about them and their nature. And we carry that. And we carry that, and then we still try. On top of that, they have no idea.
Because we love them.
They have no idea because they have no idea. The level of birth, and that's becoming my new anthem with when I'm talking to sisters. You don't know what you're asking,
right?
You don't know what you're asking because you don't have to provide it. Yeah, and the pushback that I've gotten is, oh, your exes must have really done a number on you. Why you gotta go that?
Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sign language right there. There you go.
Yeah. And I the last woman said this. I said you did. By how you behave. Why would no man be hurt by the fact that he's out here trying? And then I in one of my shorts, I wish I actually had it because I would play it. But I listed all of these qualities and attributes that a black man's supposed to have, and then I asked the question, like we have to be. I said all of these qualities that our women want: 6 foot. 120K a year. Gotta love Jesus. Gotta rub my feet with my belly ache. Gotta build me a business and make me a partner. I mean, all of this laundry list of garbage. And then at the end of that, I said, why do black men have to be a Messiah?
Right.
And I don't think the Messiah is good enough.
You got to be perfect.
You got to be, and I tell ladies all the time,
you ain't perfect.
You ain't that man that you got in your brain. That sucker don't exist.
See, I think that you see a lot of women, especially as they get older and they start making more money, they want this perfect man who's, making as much as they do or more, who can pay all or at least the majority of the bills. And like you said, 6 feet tall and all the other kind of stuff, but they are chasing perfection. But when they are not perfect themselves.
No.
I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. You want perfect? Go talk to God. That's the only perfection you're gonna find in this broken world.
But no. Here's what's more incredible. They want all of this. Ask them if their kid's father meet those standards.
Yeah. Where's he at?
Yeah. I mean, if you not, what's their favorite word? Settling.
Huh.
How in the hell did you wind up with the men that you gave children by?
Yeah, you laid down with them.
And I told one lady, I said, if that wasn't settling,
yep,
the baby daddy that lives with his aunt in his auntie's house couch
in the basement,
who can't even afford to get on a bicycle or let alone an Uber.
Yep.
If that wasn't settling, but me and my 3,000 square feet of comfort is, make that make sense to me.
Well, see, in their mind, they don't want to settle for your order and your structure. That's what they don't want to settle for. They don't want to settle for your order and your structure. They want to be the head. They don't want any authority over their chaotic decisions. And they choose to lay down with a guy because at the end of the day, they wanted to be a mother, but not necessarily be a wife.
Absolutely. While we're on this subject right here, I'm going to just transition because I don't want to keep us on. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring him up with us, Mr. Life Lessons, because we're having this conversation. We're talking about it this way. I brought my pastor on because I wanted to talk about covering.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, we always talk about, you hear on all of these platforms talking about, man got to be a woman's covering, you got to come under the covering of a man. So I wanted to talk to my pastor a little bit about what that actually means. Mm-hmm. What is actual covering, and what does it look like in practice, and why our women are rejecting it. So I'm going to bring him up right now. Okay.
Cool.
Pastor Rush. Hezekiah, just hang out. Hold on a second, Pastor Rush. Hezekiah, you got your stuff? Is it working? Oh, it's still popping, brother.
You got that Teddy Riley Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you got that Teddy Riley Wi-Fi, bro. Are you on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone right now.
He might need to go. He might need to turn off his Wi-Fi. Go to cell data or something.
Are you on Wi-Fi? Or are you using your cell data?
My Wi-Fi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, turn your Wi-Fi off and just try to use your cell data. Pastor, how you doing?
I am well.
How you doing, Pastor Rush?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Enjoying you guys' conversation.
You liking this conversation?
I am.
Why you liking it, Pastor?
Because it's truthful, and I think it is home. I think it points to the objective at hand, and that is the importance of the weight of the burden of a man. It can be universal, but in this aspect, obviously, to be concrete in what I'm saying, is a burden of a black man in his families, in his community, in his home.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you while we're talking about our ladies and how they present to us and what they don't understand about us, what from a covering is really a spiritual perspective. So what is actual covering?
Covering is as equal to leadership as white is to rice. It's the same in one. When you cover, you protect. When you lead, you protect. So you can't really separate the two without speaking about the other. So when you talk about covering, you're not going to relinquish yourself of a burden. And just to simply try to unpack the burden, we're just simply talking about, you guys are just talking about the weight. But it's impossible for me to discuss leadership without giving a biblical perspective. And the two aspects are the specific authoritative viewpoints or frame of references that you've been speaking about in terms of the spiritual perspective of leadership or the covering of a woman and the practice thereof. Both have tremendous impact on the woman when she's able to understand that they both are generated through what my brother just talked about, order and structure. Can't get away from it.
Can't get away from it. It seems like they're running away from it.
Well, they're running away from it because
rebel.
They're running away from it because it takes away from what they would consider their identity. And they feel as if they're losing who they are in that person if they surrender to that rule and that structure that the man offers. Now they want to be impacted by the circumstances that can be provided or the heritage that can come with it to build a generational bliss down here on earth. But when it comes to the surrendering of their relationship to that man, they want to hold back because they just don't trust the man. See, one of the things that I've learned throughout marriage, I've been married 38 years. December the 1st will be 39 years to the same person. And one of the things that she's had to learn is that structure and order comes up under the supremacy of God's word. And one of the reasons why women don't tend to trust male leadership more than they trust themselves is basically because, for the most part, in Black history, history will teach you that the strongest image to any woman is, in their eyes, another Black female in the Black community. That as always, you've talked about it on your stream on several occasions. The substance that have rolled from your streams have caused some to be suspect, some to be infuriated, and others to be adaptable to what is both reason and logic. But yet still some run because they feel it's going to take away from them being the authority in the home, when in fact they're really actually being the rebellious one in the home, even when the man fails, if they're trying to lead rather than follow.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that they don't have a voice. That just means that there's order and there's rule in the house. I would say this here before you move forward, TJ. It's interesting when I hear women on social media, on platforms such as what you are holding, which I think is an awesome platform tonight, and your guest is speaking so eloquently. Women tend to have an issue when it comes to who they are, and so they are, if you notice, identifying themselves, and you guys have heard this and seen the quotes across social media, calling themselves queens. Now, when a man calls himself a king, he's also putting himself in a place of leadership where he has to represent a man in a certain way. There's a criteria that comes with that where he can't juxtapose what he says his objective really is about, and that's leading the family or relationship or woman. The woman says she's a queen, but historically, when a woman has been a queen, she is a queen to a king. When a king has a relationship with any person, especially with his own woman, He rules over her. He doesn't ask her for direction. He rules, and she surrenders to that rule without any feedback that's negative. But yet you see women calling themselves queen without a king.
Yeah, Mr. Victor, I'm gonna get you in just a second. I remember having a conversation with my ex-wife, Pastor Rush. And I end up telling the people, I tell people this all the time about my failed marriage. I said my marriage failed because of me. Now, she may have done the walking, but she ran my marriage. She ran the marriage. She ran every bit of it. Every major decision that was made, every turn that we made in that marriage was based on her decision. And I did not have the backbone to stand up to these bad decisions that I knew were bad decisions. And every decision that was made, the outcome was worse.
I was the same way.
Was bad. Every decision was bad. I mean, every decision put us in a worse situation. And guess who had to dig us out of that worst situation? But the absolute rejection of any counsel, but with me not understanding. I was supposed to be receiving counsel and making the decision, not giving her counsel and having her make the decision. Because those decisions led that marriage off the rails, led us into financial ruin, led me frustrated, led her more out of control, more out of bounds. Look, Pastor, let me tell you something. I hate to admit this. Oh, my wife went on a singles retreat with the church. We're not talking about like facilitating a class. She wanted to go because her girlfriends at church were going. Yeah. Hold on.
Was that Stella got a groove bag?
That's what you heard there. Yeah. That's how bad it was. Yeah. Oh, this was subsequently too. That was the incident that got me. How you get kicked out of a church? Well, I did it. I got kicked out of a church because the first thing, what I went to the pastor, and that was the end of that for me. Like, you know what I mean? Who you how do you allow? And then even looking back, confronting him, talking about how do you allow this? No, I allowed that. Because when she came back, her key shouldn't have worked in that door no more.
There were no consequences for her actions, for her behavior.
No. I married a woman that was older than me. I was 28 when I got married. She was a decade or more older than me.
I did the same thing, about a 10-year gap in my first marriage.
And she took advantage of the naiveness that I had in that regard. You know what I mean? And I had a very idealistic way of thinking about marriage because guess who I was raised by?
Your mother.
My grandmother. Happy wife, happy life. I thought that was a real thing. Yeah, lessons learned.
Yeah, you supposed to sacrifice your happiness for hers. It don't really work that way.
Yeah, look, the Uncle Junior was like, "Why did the church let her go, man? I don't need money. What do you mean? Why they let her go? Have you not looked at the current makeup of the black church? It's the pastor and a whole flock of women.
Them tithes and offerings."
Well, I guess.
Did I step on your toes with that one, Pastor?
No, my toes are good. I think there has to be some biblical reference that would impart logic and insight into those phraseologies that were just used. I think if the church that we are talking about that can cause harm to someone's feet is a non-biblical functioning entity, and that it is a organization more than a relationship building environment, then yes, it should hurt my feet. But you know me better than that. We don't function from a secular perspective as if we're running a corporation with a bunch of CEOs. What the church is, biblically speaking, is a entity that functions with a federal head that that gives wisdom and knowledge from a vertical perspective to the horizontal followers of the Messiah. And in that setting, there is a gospel presentation that reinforces what we are discussing tonight. When a man who's outside of a marriage has control over a woman, that woman is automatically in error. So right away, you see that church is in error because the pastor has more influence over the wife than her husband. In fact, I could turn there, but I won't because of the sake of time. But the Apostle Paul says in Colossians chapter 3, verse 18, he says to the woman that she is to submit to her own husband as befitting unto the Lord. And let me just say this as I'm on my soliloquy here, that woman has a responsibility to respond to her husband, not on the basis of his faithfulness, not on the basis of his sinfulness, not on the basis of how he provides even for herself. She has a responsibility to respond to her husband faithfully and with a submissive attitude based on her relationship with the Savior that will reflect through her relationship with her husband, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. Mr. Victor Van Zandt, I know you've been waiting patiently.
Woo. What's going on, man? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you. Welcome to the Real Bravado Network, brother.
What's going on, man? I got an invite from Uncle Junior himself, and I was checking out the pod, and a lot of the conversation that's already been had is kind of been my been in my wheelhouse like the last few years or whatever. A little bit about myself. I'm an author. A couple of books right here. The Code, and it's a blueprint to solidarity among reasonable Black people. So it's meant to create a conversation where we can, you know what I'm saying, actually share experiences and not overtalk each other, you know, and actually have dialogue. Because a lot of our words are really, you know, like all synonyms, you know, like you may say bless, you may say another word that compares to that. And generally speaking, we all want the same outcomes. So, you know, I just want to be a part of the conversation and see where I can chime in, where it makes sense. And one of the parts that you guys were talking about is, you know, like the act of submission in general, right? And the pastor's already spoken on it from a biblical context. I'm going to talk about it from more of a structural context because these are still the components that go into it. A lot of times when we talk about submission, we don't know how to frame the conversation to get the conversation, to get the outcome that we want. And a lot of times when they hear submit, it goes right into a primal, you want me to do something that shows obedience to you in a forceful way. When this, yeah, exactly. They think of it in an extreme, okay? And the reason they think in extremes like that is because they think from their feelings. Okay. So when you think from feelings in a place of desperation, you're going to come out with fear in most cases. Okay. So put a pin in that part right there. Men are not afforded the opportunity to live in fear and make decisions in fear. So we have to come up with.
Say that again. Say that one more. That went by too fast. Way too fast.
Yeah.
So one more time. Men are not afforded to do what?
Men are not afforded the opportunity to make decisions out of fear.
And why is that?
Because everybody dies when we make the wrong decision. Because you know what I'm saying? If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and we're talking about men that fit the behavior that I'm describing, because all men don't fit the same behavior, just like all women don't fit the same behavior. you know. But generally speaking, we teach discipline, we teach code, we teach ethics, and you don't see men ending up in situations where they have to go be corrected, like in prison, and women run the prison. They work there, they part of the prison demographic, but you got to have some credible institutional control, and you don't have credible institutional control without men involved. Number one. The other part is, when have you seen women work together, and what have they ever accomplished together? You know, when have you seen women be corrected by other women? Women don't even submit to each other. If you take men out of all of their problems, look at how they communicate with each other. Let that marinate for a second. Now, they reinforce their communication with each other. In most cases, it's usually beef between mothers, daughters, nieces, aunts, and everybody else in the family. You don't see uncles and nephews boxing each other, you know what I'm saying, when they hanging out. All right.
Not normally. Anytime
you got any beef in the family, if you do the investigation and start with the women, you'll probably end with the women. Okay.
Yep.
So and
I told my grandmother that she has 4 girls and 3 boys, and my mother and my aunts are always at war with each other, like openly. It don't. They could be at church. They could be at church.
It don't
the
matter.
Grocery store. They warring. When there's disagreement amongst the boys, my uncles, myself and my uncles, when there's disagreement amongst us, you know what we do?
Talk it out.
Well, that
box it out.
That, but more likely than not, when there's severe disagreement, space is given.
Space.
You know what, dude? I'll talk to you in a couple weeks or a month, or maybe next year if we make it that long. That's what we do. We're not going to sit out there in general. We're not going to sit out there because men understand something real important.
Do we ever look at what we do to women, though?
Hold on a second.
I'm going to get to that.
Do we ever look at what we do to women? I hear everything is on us, but it's not everything we have done to women over the years.
It's about certain men that fit the behavior. See, if we narrow it down to behavior, if you don't fit the behavior, it is not on us.
We ain't really getting to the core of the problem. Yes, women want that man, but why do they want that man? Because what we did to them before they even came up, we picking up pieces to the puzzle.
We ain't did nothing.
What do we do? What do we do to them?
Those are choices.
What do we do to them?
All of this come down to outcomes.
So tell me this. Is it about, say we pick a woman. We don't know what she's been through in the past.
What does that got to do with me?
How we gonna ask her to submit? What we gonna give her to submit to? If we can't show
what did I just say earlier? We have a problem with framing the conversation about submission and then not understanding. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. Like, here's the thing. The conversation that we talking about when it comes down to submission, it's about making choices. It's about picking the battles that are worth fighting to win for the overall good. It's a difference between being right and being righteous. Okay.
For me,
like everybody got to accept everybody has to accept the decisions that they've made up to a certain point. Like, yeah, you don't know what she's been through. Hell, everybody don't know what anybody been through. You know what I'm saying? So now we got a clean slate, and now you got to deal with your feelings in a responsible communication between your heart and your mind. You don't. Nobody else is responsible for anybody else's trauma. Nobody else is responsible for your triggers or your trauma but you. You go get therapy. If we don't know what she been through. She need to fix that first. That's choices. Men always have to take everybody else's responsibility for how they feel and how they was raised. We just sit up here talking about how women in general communicate with each other. Look at how they reinforce their communication with each other. And then look what we're trying to make it make sense. Hold up. I need to make this point. Because it's gonna get lost in translation. See, you have to look at how they communicate with us, because it's based on how they communicate with each other. Then they think that communication translates to what we understand. And then we never hit each other in the right spots. Now it looks like we trying to be better than them and they trying to be better than us. And the reality is we need to find a better way to be complementary. All of the arguing and stopping and interrupting people from finishing their conversations are going to keep people from missing the point. And if you look at that behavior, who does that more, men or women?
The reality is women have seen how we treated them since the time they was born to the time up to now. And we supposed to be, oh, okay. No, they have been going through these things and seeing these things, and they just ain't up for it no more. They're not down with it no more. They'd rather have you to be the side man. It's a deal. It's not even a relationship anymore. It's a partnership. I need
you can only have the relationship that you can afford.
That's it. They only want you for this, this, and that. They don't. They want to be treated like a queen, but they want to be the king too, and they can't get both. And what we doing is trying to make them submit when they're not going to submit. Why should they submit?
Hezekiah. Well, hold on, Hezekiah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the question. I hear everything you're saying, but the question comes back to this: why should Hezekiah Morris have to deal with what some other fella that she allows some other fella to do? Why would you have to deal with that?
Because I chose to take up that responsibility.
So you chose to be responsible for what another man did to her.
It depends on what I'm looking at it for, or what I'm going in it for. If I'm just going in it for one thing, I'm a play it how it needs to be played.
Well, we talking about marriages.
Everybody can have different kind. You kind of see what I'm saying, Pat? We can have different kind of ways that we're going about. If we think, okay, well, we just want to be with this woman for this amount of time, we're going to do whatever. We don't care what she done been through. Or if we really want to be with that person, we're going to be patient with that woman. We're not going to worry about, oh, she needs to submit, she needs to do that. We're going to stick it out. We're going to help each other get through what we got to get through together. But today's world is all like it's full of games. A woman can be more independent. They can make more money without being with a man at home nowadays.
Hezekiah, let me stop you right there. I hear the notion that, the talk was about women can make more money. Let me tell you something. According to Hezekiah, you've been around me a long time. According to blackdemographics.com, the average black woman, that includes women with degrees, earn $36,000 a year. Black men
Go to my Instagram page. Go to my Instagram page. See how much they make.
Huh? What did you say?
Go to my Instagram page and see how much they make. That's statistics.
So can I jump in right here? Okay, like right here, this whole conversation, I'm watching it. We're having an objective conversation. Hezekiah, you're having a subjective conversation. You're speaking from personal experience. So objectively, being in general, meaning like take you out of it. Think about what I'm saying. Okay, when you talk about submission, you can only speak on it based on your own personal experience in life.
Anecdotal
experience. Anecdotal experience is an exception. It is not the rule. Generally speaking, the men on this panel, we've had a whole different conversation about this same subject, and now it's a different conversation because of your personal experience. So what I'm demonstrating right now is objective versus subjective.
It's not my personal experience. It's what I'm seeing, because you're seeing it from a different perspective, and I'm seeing it for what I see every day.
Yeah, you just said it again. I mean, you're making my point.
Hezekiah, you said that the things that men or black men have done to women, what exactly have we done to them over the past 10, 20, 30 years?
Stay at home over the years, keep them in the house, keep them hidden from doing things to make them feel a part of.
Keep them in the house. Hezekiah, black women have been the head of the house since 1970. What are you talking about?
Have they really been? Everything
yes,
they
really have been. They have really been the head of the house, Hezekiah. Black women are still the head of the house right now.
For the most part, yeah, because there's no man in the house.
The
government made sure they took the man out the house. That was our number one priority. Take the man out the house.
That was a decision we made. Stop that. We need to stop this. my grandfather's generation, I call it the civil rights generation, who started accepting this garbage from them. That was a decision that generation made.
They did.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear nothing about. You weren't on the stream last week, Hezekiah, when I talked about conspiracy or economics. The conspiracy is the government came in and took us out of the house and separated us. That's not it. They don't. The government ain't got no. They don't benefit from keeping us down. They do benefit from keeping us apart. Those are very two different sets of things.
Yeah, because even during slavery, we were still married at what 80% rate.
Yes,
during civil rights era,
up until 1965, 80%.
And now they're the most educated and also the most evicted. So they going to school to learn how to get put out. Like, you know what I'm saying? At some point, we got to respect somebody's outcomes. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to talk about everything they've been through as if they make better decisions than we do, then we'd have to listen, because the person with the least amount of resources can't make the rules.
That's right.
So who we gonna listen to? The most evicted? Really, it boils down to who can take the problem, who can push the conversation into the problem solving and dialogue part, who can get past their feelings and stop talking all this subjective stuff, these feelings and their personal situations, and have an objective view of our culture and think about something greater than their own hurt.
And that's what men are designed for. That's how we are wired to be.
And that's why we're
it's
the ones
who purpose.
We're the ones that are suited to carry the burden. Mr. Van Zandt, here's one of the things that I tell a lot of brothers a lot of times, and a lot of brothers don't want to hear this out of me. We got to stop being afraid to tell our women the truth.
Yep.
A lot of them don't know. A lot of them don't. So when I speak to my lady or any other lady around and I tell them the stuff I tell them, you should see the look on their faces. And that's because no other man in their life has said to them the things that I'm talking to them about. And
they pastor, they pastor, or they supervise at work. They'll take it from them, but they don't want to take it from you.
Yeah, they'll take it from. But and my thing is we as men got to stop worrying about here's the thing, and let's just keep it a buck. And I'm trying to keep
at all times.
I'm trying to keep it clean for Pastor. We place so much value on that good. You know what I mean? We place a lot of value on it because, generally speaking, it's a very hard accomplishment for most men to get that good.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of work and effort to get.
Women control access to that.
Yep. So, because we place so much value on that, we tend to not want to say anything that's going to disrupt us from getting it.
Yep.
And so therefore, our women are walking around here with this mindset and this thought process regarding men or men's behavior, what our responsibility is, or what we even need or want. Because men in general, black men in general, won't tell them the truth
of what we really want. Absolutely. You're right. That's what I was trying to get at you. You just hit the nail in the coffin right there.
I don't know if we heard the same point he was trying to make. What do you think he was saying?
We would do anything to get the good.
But that's a lot. But that's part of a larger point,
especially young.
That's part of it.
Really.
But the larger point.
What's the larger point you're trying to make, TJ?
The larger point is that that's tied to fear and irresponsibility in us. We have to get over that. We cannot be afraid to not be able to be that a woman's going to turn us down in that way. Because let me tell you something. Guess who don't put a lot of value on that good? Them. Half of them don't even keep it up right.
If they did, they wouldn't give it out so easily.
There you go.
Well, if they did, they would not give it away so easily.
Hey, TJ, you can probably look up this stat while I get ready to drop this nugget to add on to that. So, women have like 80% of the kids right now out of wedlock. All right, they're making those kids with only 16% of men. Okay,
16% of men, right?
And then 50% of men are childless and single, and the remainder is married. Okay.
Right.
And there's 30% of that in there. I'm skewing the numbers, but like that, there's about a third of that percentage that's virgins. So there's a whole. So what does that tell you? That tells you that
30% of men are still virgins by the time they turn 30. I call it the 30 for 30.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what do you think I'm saying? You know, when I say that, because I got a point that I'm going to make. I want to hear what everybody else thinks, though. Like when you hear those type of numbers.
I think that you have majority of women who, most women only pay attention to about 20% of men. You know, the men that's making a certain kind of money, a certain kind of height, got some kind of swag to them. You know, basically Tupac in a suit. So you look at certain brothers who have a bevy of women on their profile, lots of kids. You know, a Future, a Nick Cannon. You know, people like that, because that, you know, those are the guys who are attractive to most women. So you have a bevy of women who they keep getting with the same guys. And in some cases, you have some of these women who are sharing the same guy. That you have someone that they would rather share a guy that has a ton of resources than to build something with an average man who they can build something together, build a family together, build structure together, and come together as a community. But they don't want to go through that struggle. They would rather just kind of sit in the winter section and wait for the guys who got their stuff together to come over there, and then they'll all congregate around that one guy. And thus, that's why you have 80% of women who are having babies with basically 16% of men.
And here's another way that I put it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick. I always put it another way. And our women don't like to hear. Oh my God, I think I'm gonna get killed one day.
Hey, I'll say it. I'll take the bullet for you on this one.
I'm gonna say, I got no problem saying it. Our women are out here purposefully, actively sharing men, but yet claiming that they want monogamy.
That's one part of it too. I got the switchblade though. Everything you guys said fits the large demographic. You know what I'm saying? The larger answer that I'm trying to get to. The nutshell of it is this. Women compete for the worst men to get pregnant by.
Yes.
When you package it that way, you got to think about, because they are in unhealthy competitions with each other. When have you ever seen them beef over anything of value? Number one, you watch reality TV popularity soaring and the WNBA is failing. Okay. They couldn't even put their own president in office. They could have had Hillary Clinton and protected their own Roe versus Wade rights. And by not putting Hillary Clinton up there, they definitely didn't help themselves in the you know what I'm saying, in the birth rights, the women's rights category. Then they put Kavanaugh in office on the Supreme Court. Then they lost Roe versus Wade while arguing on behalf of support of LGBT. And now you got men that dress like women that have more rights than original women. Like, and now women got to be identified by being cisgender. And that's no shot to nobody. I'm just saying, like,
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what
that is. And that ain't no shot at nobody that might be watching. I'm just saying the level of conflict, you know, like nobody wins when the family's feuding. Women are beefing with each other so much that they're losing sight on what's actually important for them to actually be a woman. That's why we have to have conversations like this to fight for our own masculinity. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We have to put things in perspective. You know, we got so many men that have never been raised with a man around.
Yep.
That is, you know what I'm saying? That is missing some pieces to his instinct, missing some pieces to his understanding of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't that what I said a couple streams back, Hezekiah?
Yes, you did. So how can we get it to the point where we're making a positive impact on us men as well as women?
Well, you know what, for the men, first of all, for
men, we got to submit to each other too. You see what I'm saying? And that's what this is. This is why I say this is submission. There's a larger purpose. We already get it. That's why the conversation's being had. We have to understand that we're in it. We ain't here to fight each other. You see what
Nope.
I'm saying? Do you think it's 5 women sitting around right now having the same conversation?
Oh no, they couldn't do
About,
it. They couldn't
you
do
see what I'm saying? Like,
They're having it, but they're having it in the opposite nature. They're having it in the
Men
way that
have
Hezekiah
code.
came in about, talking about what we
Men
did
have
to
code.
them. We
This
ain't
is
did
what I'm
nothing
talking
to
about.
them. The vast majority of men ain't done nothing to our women because we haven't had access to them.
We not bopping them upside the head,
No.
dragging them down the street, this, that, and the third. We have never done that. And you got someone say, oh, they're still feeling oppressed and all this other kind. We have never done, especially black men. We have never had even the power, let alone the desire to do that. And yeah, there's some bad dudes out there, but a vast majority of men are not out here just trying to just dog women out and just being the worst of the worst. Like, especially as guys get older, we get to about 30, 35, 40. We done playing the games, we done sleeping around, all sorts of kind of stuff. We want a family. Right. We want to be with one woman and build something with her and have a family. It's just difficult at that point when you have built something of yourself, when you have some kind of structure and order, when you have made yourself into a man worth of value. It's hard to find a woman who will willingly come under your covering, will willingly come under your leadership, and submit to your guidance and be under your game plan, your purpose.
Pastor, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I don't want to juxtapose what you just said, but that's an apparent contradiction in terms, because that's a double standard. Because you said that by the time you're at a certain point in life, you're through playing around, and now you're ready to settle down and you want a family and marriage. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm not saying that that's off the objective that we're discussing. What I'm saying, the substance of what you said is an equal opportunity for females. But we're talking about what happens to a female tends to put them in a dark place. When they fool around until, to a point where they want to go as far as they want to go until they're ready to marry, they're subject to get pregnant. And that puts a dark spot on them for men of value.
Yep.
So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're going to play around, they should be allowed to play around as well.
But the consequences for them are way more dire. Especially there's this thing called pair bonding, or what we or soul ties, what we call it. In the spiritual world, it diminishes their ability to pair bond. In order to submit, in order for a woman to be fully committed, she has to have the ability to pair bond. And there's been multiple studies out there that says when a woman hits around 5 or 6 sexual partners, it starts to obliterate her ability to pair bond. And it's over 10, she basically can't pair bond anymore. That's why you see women in very short-term relationships, because she can't attach.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not saying that men should be out here just running around.
I wasn't trying to say it in a negative light. I was just trying to use what you said. I should have worded it better. I was trying to use what you said to try to make a point of interest based on the big picture that we're trying to paint here. Because I think the objective, I could be off, but I think the objective is to problem solve to a place where we can win over Black women from the deception that's led them away from our community. And I think what has led them away from our community is information that didn't come from our community. And they hold to that information as a standard that's on the outside of the community. And so no matter how much a Black man can offer or what he does to present himself well to her, she doesn't even know that she has a standard that's been handed down to her that's on the outside of our community. So she never sees the standard that the black man sets because he's never going to reach that standard in our community because the standard is on the outside.
Right.
Real quick, Pastor, real quick. I want to play something. It's 3 minutes, okay? And then I want you guys to, it's on topic. And this is from the Lapeef Network.
It's 5 versicle 21 to 30.
Look it up real quick so you can
cool.
have
So
your argument.
the thing that I tell people on a regular basis is that you need to read what happens before and after so that you can add the context.
Thank you.
And what he talks about is specifically, he breaks down what submission looks like, but then he specifically tells the wife to submit to the husband. I'm going to read it for you. Giving thanks always for all things unto God the Father in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. In 21, it says, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God, not submitting based off of to the will of a woman, in the fear of God. And then he goes on to say in 22, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. In 23, for the husband is the head of the wife. And he specifically breaks down what in the fear of the Lord is supposed to look like when it comes to the family structure. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ has also loved the church and gave himself for it. That's what the protection and provision looks like, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word, meaning that you are to submit to your husband, understanding that he knows what's best for you and is going to create the oasis for you to be able to thrive, that he might present it unto himself, a glorious church, not having spot, wrinkle, or such thing, that may be holy and without blemish, without wrinkle or blemish, meaning you are to be perfect. And then I am responsible to you, which is one of the reasons why you need to submit to me. So ought men to love their wives as their own body. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. You are a representation of me. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord loved the church. So my point is that to just blindly say to submit to your wife without the context is disingenuous, because that shows a lack of understanding. Submitting based off of the fear of God, meaning that you are to get under my covering and I'm to love you as Christ loved the church, means that I am not to submit to your will, but I am to submit to God, understanding that I need to love you the way that he loved the church. It is a completely different context, and people take it out of context, which is one of the reasons why I like to read it, because it does not mean to submit in the same way that we ask wives to submit to their husbands.
He brought that up because the woman was talking about that the husband needs to submit to the wife just as well. And he wanted to correct her understanding of submission. He's like, no. He goes, I got to submit to you, but it's differently. It's differently. And that's why I wanted to talk about a little bit about covering, and what it looks like on a practical level, what it looks like, on a day-to-day. Because if we're going into this thing, if we find a Black woman out here that through all of her flaws and her brokenness and her imperfections and the behavior and she might be willing on some level to hear you, we have to know what we're doing, and we have to know what we're talking about so we can actually provide that leadership. We can provide that education. We can provide that direction for her. And the original topic of this stream is the burdens that men carry. The brokenness of our community is on the burden of the men, because our ladies will not have never been our ladies would not be where they were right now if the men I call it the civil rights generation, when that feminist movement infiltrated the civil rights movement, and when that New Deal came and then they started offering entitlement benefits, if the men would have done one thing, and that was say, over my dead body, we split this house, we split this family. And over my dead body, you're gonna let that white woman come in there and you're gonna get in the middle of her fight with her man. You stay in your place. Your fight ain't with her man. Your fight is so that we can survive. So that's why I wanted to talk about the covering, because a lot of women don't want to come under covering, like the lady in that. And I wish I would have had the clip right before when she was talking about, well, you need to submit to me first. Our women believe that. That's how they operate with us currently, that we need to submit to them. And I tell any woman, you don't have to submit to a fool.
Right.
Once that man is proven, no one's ever going to tell a lady you submit to a fool. No one's never going to say that. No one's never going to say you give up responsibility to a fool. But too many of our women have. But I'm just saying. Come on now.
Hey, you heard what I said earlier. They compete with each other for the worst men to have their kids with. That ain't got nothing. Like, you take men out of all their problems, they got major problems with each other. Like, let that settle in. Like, I don't know you gentlemen. And listen to the nature of the conversation that we're having. You know what I'm saying? The level of it. There's a desire to solve the problem. There's no desire to compete with anybody. Everybody has something to contribute, and they want their voice heard. They want their space validated. You know what I'm saying? Because men know what it's like to go everywhere and be denied and still have to act like it didn't matter.
That's a great point.
We are the embodiment of stoicism, class.
That's good.
Code. Because we can't act like them and expect anything. Now think about that. Imagine if we communicated with each other the way they communicate with each other.
Well, we wouldn't have no men. We got a bunch of dead men around here.
Oh yeah, we got that. Look, you see how that just answered his own question?
Yeah, we had a bunch of dead men.
When you look at the slice of, like, you gentlemen that have been raised, you know what I'm saying, with a mother-led household, you guys have a way different, you know what I'm saying, perspective of life. And in some cases, it's a lack of maturity, lack of emotional control. It's a lack of problem solving without feelings. It's an inability to be objective. I'm telling you, when you start talking about what I feel like, what I thought I heard you say, or you interrupting other people, that's subjective energy that comes from in here, because you're getting triggered by something that somebody said. But if you live a life where you've healed and you can have objective opinions that don't reflect your behavior, you listen to the conversation way different.
Mr.
Come
Van
on,
Zant, go ahead, Mr. Van Zant. Listen,
go ahead.
When I get into a confrontation, I was raised exclusively by my grandmother. When I get into confrontations with people, and I'm being calm, and I'm being measured, and I'm being, you know what I mean, trying to verbally work my way through the disagreement. At some point during that conversation, especially if it keeps going off the rail, I give them what I call the warning.
Yeah, what was the warning?
No. My warning is this. I tell people this quick, fast, and hurry. Listen, I was born and raised and trained in dysfunction. That is my first language.
Man, like put nitrous.
If you continue down this road, this here me trying to be, as you say, stoic with you or trying to be reasonable with you, this is me working hard. Because this is I'll tell you, this ain't my programming.
No.
I'm raised with my grandma. I'm already, they don't understand. By the time the conflict happened, I'm already on 10. And I'm internally fighting that down.
Yeah.
Because I'm and the only reason I'm able to do that is because I know that I'm pre-programmed to wild out like my grandmother wilds out. I talked about this on my last stream. I wild out. I would wild out just like her. And let me tell you something. Sometimes, because too many, we were raising, I fail, man. I fail with my own lady sometimes. I completely lose it, emotionally. And I know where, and then I get even angrier because I know that I shouldn't have been on that level. But I know where it come from.
That's why you cannot argue with women at all. You cannot argue with women. That's their frequency. You see what I'm saying? Like, you just do way better as a man by just not saying anything, saying, hey, I don't care how mad you are about it. I don't want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Until you can have a conversation where you can take the emotions out, because that's the decision that they're going to make in the moment. And those feelings that have been enabled to be acted on have been authorized by woman-led homes, because women want you to feel something.
Yeah. And
that's where they they got the switchblade down there. You know what I'm saying? In that frequency.
Hold on a second. I gotta give some air horns to Messy Michonne. Go check her out, her channel, Messy Michonne. Thank you, lady. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming by. But yeah, man, a lot of us, unfortunately, that's our first language, but a lot of us have not done the work to recognize it, especially now these younger generation of guys who got younger generation of mothers. You know what I mean? And these guys are out here. When you see these young boys like shooting up the streets and terrorizing, that's all emotional wreckage, because that's how their mothers operate.
There's no mentorship.
I operate, and I tell people all the time, it takes, and it's almost embarrassing, for me to admit that, me operating in masculine frame is a damn job for me, because it's not my first language, because that's not how I was programmed.
Yep. But at the end of the day, iron sharpens iron. Women can't raise a boy into a man. It takes a man to do that.
Yes. I told the story about, and I think I made a clip about it. Yeah, I did. I have a clip on my channel about it. I told the story about how when I met my father when I was 30. I had my very first conflict with my grandfather a year later, my dad's dad. So this man was born in 1944, 41, 42. So I had so you know what type of dude this is. So I had my very first conflict with my grandfather. It was over something stupid. It was over cutting grass. This dude looked at me and he was like, I can't talk to you. You argue like a woman. And he walked away from me. I was stuck.
I'm trying to tell you, like, hey,
I was stuck.
There's a certain behavior that already lets you know how far it's gonna go.
He just walked away. And first of all, I got even more angry because he walked away. But see, because that old school, they don't have the framework to explain what's going on or why he's saying what they're saying.
You don't have a filter.
Right. But it took me a long time to understand that was his way of telling me that there was something off about me. And that I had to do. It took almost another 10 years for me to evolve to that, though. You know what I mean? And so I actually talked to him recently about that. And I told him, I said, I really wish that I was around you, my father, growing up, because I'd probably be a different kind of man. But I said to him that day, I said, I appreciate now that you said that to me. I tell him that. I said, I appreciate what you did. And he just smiles, and then he starts talking to me about, I got some more stuff. No, I'm good.
So you already sliced me up one time, and I survived. Like, let me make it.
No, we good.
I gotta open the wound to give you my flowers.
Right. I remember this time when you didn't wash the dishes the right way.
Man, look, but that same kind of lesson. That same kind of lesson that you got though,
and with me, growing up with my father in the household, he had us out there cutting grass and cleaning the room, washing. We was trained before we was almost 10 years old. We was doing everything around the house and outside the house. Then we go to grandma's house. They got us cutting wood and everything. We was learning how to be men.
Putting a woman's emotional maturity into a man turns him into Tupac. I don't know what you mean by that.
You see, Tupac died at 25, didn't he?
Yeah. There you go. Well, this was interesting. I'm not gonna, fellas. Listen, I'm gonna put a pin in the discussion right now. What we normally do, we end the show with our theme song, and then we come back and we do like a 5-minute wrap up, okay? And then we wrap up the discussion and how we felt, how it went. So, For everybody watching, I thank you. I appreciate it. I always, ladies, I encourage you to, anybody that's in the chat watching, stick around for the wrap up. You can come up, chop it up with the wrap up part of the show. We can talk about anything that it doesn't even have to be the topic. Okay. So I appreciate everybody. Just stand back and wait for a second.
I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king and I will never knew. Plotting for my fall, you getting hanged for treason. I don't aim to please, do anything I feel. Haters gonna talk, don't listen to the shit. They tryna be like me, they know they can, yo. Can't even get lost, I'm on a pedestal, sitting on my throne. My neck be decked in gold, I don't do no hoes, I've got a queen though. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king, I told you guys before, ready for the war, to get me way much more. Gather all this spoils, add them to my kingdom. Shout out to my fans for pledging your allegiance. You get a reward, the best flow you've ever heard. I don't be mixing with birds, I'm a lion on the surge. Always pushing to the edge, facing arrows, never scared. For my greatness I'ma serve, and only under myself. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in.
Guys, how do you guys think that went?
It was good.
It was good. Good.
Yeah, I think so too. Goodness, it didn't quite go the way I thought it was going to go, but those are the best conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Life Lessons, I appreciate you coming up here. Thank you, Matt, showing out for the mastermind. Mr. Victor,
No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Pastor Rush, he's sick. He's been sick for a couple weeks, and we were supposed to do this on Tuesday, but I got called into work, so I got to go to work. So we switched his schedule at the last minute to do this with us. So I appreciate these conversations. I think are absolutely necessary because we got to do something, man, about us and us not being together. And I always make the statement that despite the rift between black men and black women, we got to stop giving these people all of our money, and they're getting it from us because we're separated. We don't, the average black woman, I think, has a net worth of like $300. That's insane.
Cash App too.
Huh? What'd you say?
Probably on Cash App too.
Probably all on Cash App. Probably all on Cash App. Absolutely. And
Oh man.
but see, here's the thing is though, you know, you got all of these kids out here with these women. We got a bunch of women with all of these children, and we got a bunch of men out here who ain't got no woman.
Yeah.
So I always talk about the fact that we need a new deal. We need to figure out, you know, how FDR created the New Deal for America. We need a new deal for Black folk.
Yes.
And let's be a little bit honest. We're having like these deep conversations about the deep rooted issues. But man, here's what I know is not going to happen. Our women are not going to go back to traditional women, but that don't mean that we can't strike a new deal, which is going to require some sacrifice from them and some sacrifice from us about what we expect out of one another, because this is unsustainable. I told somebody the other day, I said, you know, Black people as a unit, we're like a stage 4 cancer patient on hospice. We just don't know we're stage 4.
You know, when I first got on here and I was listening to UTJ and my brother Life Lessons, y'all was just giving a lot of substance about so many things and just generality, but staying objectively in all the topics and all the thoughts all together. It was really rich. And I just want to commend you two brothers for starting this off and really setting the platform and the foundation for what we could piggyback off of. I just thought it was really insightful just listening to you guys. I think I said I really enjoyed listening to you guys, which I really did. And rest of you guys, it just was good to be on here listening to you brothers, man. I have 7 children, right? I have 3 boys without any girls, without any boys, without any girls, no kids. I've got 2 daughters with no kids. My daughters with no kids are in their 30s, and my sons without any kids, 2 are in their 30s and 1 is 27. So I get what you guys are saying, and I learned so much from you brothers, and it closes the gap for me in how to communicate with younger generations. I love that example, TJ, you gave of your father in the middle of your soliloquy. It was just great, man. Really eye-opening, and really spoke to what a man should be like when he just said, you know, if I'm not doing what I do, then who am I? You know, that was awesome. I think that was a great take.
That was my father. And I just, you know, sometimes we don't give our fathers credit. My dad, you know, he's an old school man, you know, because he was raised by a hard old school man. But sometimes my dad says things, and I just look at this dude and I'll be like, wow, you know, because he doesn't fashion himself as a smart man. He doesn't. My dad is an absolute genius. You understand what I'm saying? He doesn't think he is. Though. He does not believe this. Let me tell you something. I know this is like really small and trivial, but this lady that lives directly across the street from him, her mother was sick and they needed a ramp built. So my father's going to build the ramp. So I went with him to Home Depot and we got all of this wood and cement and a bunch of stuff. We got back, started setting up in the yard, and then got his equipment set up in the lady's driveway, just everything set up. And then he just starts measuring stuff and marking stuff. And then I just looked at him, I go, don't you need some plans to build a ramp? Like, you know, like a blueprint or something like that?
A blueprint.
That joker looked at me. He said, nah, I'm just going to cut this wood and hammer it in.
Yep.
And this man created one of the most professional looking, I mean, you would think like a company came out and built this. He did it in about 4.5 hours. You know, and all I would do was just hold stuff while he would drill. And I can't do nothing mechanical, but he's an absolute genius. I see this man with electrical, mechanical stuff, and he is beyond gifted. But he doesn't believe that because he's a utility. you know? So he doesn't believe that translates into any level of genius. All of my uncles are mechanics. My father's a diesel mechanic. When they're working on projects, my dad is a perfectionist, so I would never let him teach me anything because I got a younger brother who he's trying to teach how to become a mechanic. It's hard to watch because my father he's a perfectionist and he's a bully. So when my dad's brothers got projects and they can't fix like a car, they can't figure it out, they literally call my dad. They don't even tell him what's wrong. They just point to him because none of my uncles can work with my father because he's that difficult of a man to work for. You know what I mean? Because he's a perfectionist. But oftentimes, you know, he says stuff and I'm just amazed by what he said. Like that statement to me is like, you know, when he's talking to my sister, what else do I got to do? What am I? You know, if nothing else. So it's sometimes we, you know, we're so close to it. That's just dad. That's just pops. But we don't look at him as the man, as a man. You know what I mean?
Leader.
As a leader, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
I live with my uncle. He's a bishop. Before I moved in with him, before he passed away, I didn't know nothing about being a man. All I seen was what my father had done before that. So when I moved in with my father's brother, he was the bishop of the church. He taught me about how to, like we call it, submit to the women, as in that guy was talking about in the other YouTube video you showed. How to be self-sufficient, how to cook, how to do things with love. Instead of always being, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. He taught me how to be a man, what's required of a man. And you know, sometimes when I show a woman that, or I do that for a woman, they'll be like, who taught you how to do all that? I ain't never had a man do none of that. You know, and it's baffling to me.
Well, let me tell you something, Hezekiah, and maybe the guys might disagree with me, but I don't know. Domestic duties towards a woman from you should be a treat.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you?
Yes.
It's not something you do as as something to prove anything to. It's a treat. It's like you use it like you're buying them jewelry.
It's a bonus.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do it like you're buying them jewelry because you are taking her out of her natural order and you're putting you out of your natural order and you're reversing roles. We are going to have to, and it's going to be a dog fight with us and our women, is getting us back as close to our natural roles as possible. Like I said, we're not fully going back, but we got to make a deal with our ladies got to come and be honest brokers and make a fair deal. And our brothers are going to have to, we're going to have to show each other some grace and mercy. Thanks, Pastor, for that. We're going to have to show each other some grace and mercy, but that doesn't mean you give up your masculinity. And here's the thing. I'm late generation X. So our men, those of us that were born with strictly with no male rearing in our home, we're going to have to go out and learn what that is.
Mm-hmm.
We have an idea what it is. We know we kind of know it, we see it, but we're going to have to go out and learn what that is. Whether that be find some coaching or some other mentorship, like or even your peers that got a little bit more manhood than you do. And that's a little bit hard to swallow.
Yep. You got to swallow that pride.
Mentorship, that's the thing. This whole discussion is about community mentorship. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. We know, a lot of people don't have therapists, and there's a lot of people that are therapists that are in this. There's a lot of professional Black men that have accomplished something. Like, I'm 44 years old, and look at the level of discussion. Within our own networks, within our own phones, there are people that can solve most problems. You know, and when you start going down the list of who calls you with problems, solutions, and opportunities, that list gets very short. And when you start thinking about it, the places where you respect information and the source where it comes from, does it come from men or does it come from the women in your life?
Well, no, most of my information now come from men.
Yeah, and that's my point. This is why, we have men have to be about their purpose, and when you're on your purpose, you align with other men that are purposeful.
Yep.
The other parts that make your life whole find you. Women always migrate to comfort. So
Yep.
if you
Insecurity.
if you do you take care of you, the person you supposed to meet is gonna show up and get your meat. Okay, you got it. It is a fact. It's just the facts. If you name anything that you went and willfully pursued that never wanted you back.
Yeah.
Okay, like let it sit for a second. Everything that you thought you wanted and everything you thought you were supposed to have got you off your purpose and got you distracted. When you had to go back in your bag to reboot and get back on your purpose, the right people showed up. The path light up like Billie Jean when you're doing the right thing, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be accountable for what you can control and what you can influence and knowing the difference. Okay. Like you gotta have some kind of code, man. You gotta set yourself up for success, man. If you got to have some kind of rules for you.
Where can we get your book at?
Oh man, look, you can check the chat. Hold up, let me go ahead and do you a favor. Let me go ahead and drop it right now.
Drop it in the chat.
Drop it one more time. I put it in the private chat and let you move it to where it need to go, sir. I put it in a couple different spots.
Put my books up and do some self-promotion tonight. Let me stop.
Come on, man. Like that, hey, look, that's what we should be doing. See, like men that have purpose accomplish things that help other people.
That's right.
Men have code. We endeavor to help other people. We wake up with it. We want to call and solve problems. We can't turn it off. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And that is to our benefit if we weaponize it for something that matters. Like you brought up earlier about, the economics. We got to get our money back, right? Yeah, we can have the iceberg or the tip of the iceberg conversation about, Beyonce, Rihanna, and everybody want to spend their money to go see them. But here, think about it this way. If you took 5% of both of those fan bases, they could crash the stock market. It'll cause an economic ripple if they withdrew their spending power from things that do not help our culture. You know what I'm saying? And if they invested in themselves, they could take off and go in a completely different direction. We got all of the resource. We just need to have a focal point, and you got to have something that you are purposed on, like the wolf pack. You know what I'm saying? Uncle Junior, we talk about the wolf pack all the time. You got to have some wolves with you. So like for men that are trying to enhance the masculinity that they already have, the key to it is actually challenging yourself, putting some expectations on you that nobody else can put on you. You see what I'm saying? And holding true to it and not breaking your own code for nobody else's comfort.
There you go.
I mean, like you have already submitted. You have to submit. Like men have to be of service or they don't have purpose. What are you doing if you're not of service?
That's my
not a man, really.
Like if you do you pick up the phone and call useless people?
No.
You wouldn't bother wasting your time.
Those people you don't say those numbers. You either block them or something happens and you get the more mature you become, the more experienced you are burdened with foresight. You have to see the future. You can't pretend that something dumb can't happen to you if you make this decision. Like it is real easy for us to go to jail. It don't take much to go to jail when you know what I'm saying, when you mind your business anyway. Imagine if you living reckless and you still want the comforts or the spoils of living an accountable life with no accountability. You can't have it both ways. That's why like men that need to argue about 50-50, go work on your money. You need to be able to take that out of your conversation, because if you have all of your foundational needs met for yourself, right? Like meaning you got good health, your bills taken care of, you know where your next meal comes from, everything's stocked up and nothing else is holding you back. You can invite a woman into your space and you ain't got to talk about money, because all you can still have is what you can afford. And all of that don't have to do with money. Sometimes your attitude, sometimes it's your ability to be a compliment. Do you understand decentralized leadership? Because there's a time for you to lead and a time for you to follow. See, that's the other part when we talk about in submission. That doesn't mean we want to make every decision. You know what I'm saying? We want to have authority, but we don't want control all the time. We want to be able to say, I want to be in the back and break glass just in case for an emergency. That's the way my life is. You know what I'm saying? With my lady, you know, and because of my background, my journey, she respects my journey, and she also realizes that there's some shit she just don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? And just like it's some things as men that we absolutely don't want to do. It doesn't mean that we can't do them.
There you
You
go.
know, we don't want the obligation. So men have to be honest about what do they bring to their own situation first. Can you be alone? Can you function in austerity? Can you improve your situation? So when somebody else comes in, you don't have to pass the blame. You know where it failed. Just like early in this conversation, TJ, you was taking accountability for what you allowed. Because you can't have nothing until you accept accountability. You can't have anything worth having if somebody don't take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have finances, money, a decent quality of life with no accountability. Outcomes reflect your accountability.
Otherwise, you'll repeat the same decisions and
Echo
behavior
chamber
over and over again.
Echo chamber, just caught in your own way. That's when people say, that's how you unpack. You can't get out of your own way. You can't get right because you won't take accountability for something.
I think that's a good point that my brother just brought up. And I think you guys should take this energy and continue to persevere forward with it. And I think iron sharpen iron was mentioned earlier. I think it is imperative that this energy be invested in. And I think the overcoming of certain circumstances that are before us can be solved. We can problem solve those things when we have the same mindset. I just think enough brothers don't want to get around, you know, because they want to steal all the joy or whatever it may be. But you brothers seem to be rock solid, and I really appreciate being around you guys tonight.
Yep. All right, guys, I'm gonna cut the stream. Mr. Life Lessons, Mr. Victor. I got access to Uncle June, so we'll be in touch. And it'll be kind of nice to probably you guys come around on the 15th when I'm talking to the ladies, the three generations of ladies. That I think that's gonna be something else.
Victor, Life Lessons, TJ, I'll see you guys. You guys take care now.
All you guys have a good night, y'all.
All right.